Hello, my name is Jane Diplock. This is my presentation for the subject and understanding health. My determinant for social determinants of health is social gradient. My presentation will be to define the social gradient with Australians' data to support the linkages to social exclusion within disadvantaged cohorts of Australia. According to Wilkinson and Marmo, poor social gradients affect health throughout life, with an outcome of a shorter life expectancy and higher incidence of most common disease due to poor social and economic circumstances. When considering social gradient, gradient is considered the slope within a social ladder in society. The lower you are on the social ladder, the higher the risk of social inequality. Disadvantage can be identified in terms of economic, physical, social and environmental indicators, resulting in material and psychosocial differences impacting disease and cause of death. Data provided by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare 2020 Australia Health indicates Indigenous Australians are identified as being almost 2 times higher than non-Indigenous Australians to die from chronic disease. Life expectancy for Indigenous Australians was estimated to be 8.6 years less for males and 7.6 years less for females, compared with non-Indigenous Australians. The burden of disease is 2.3 times higher for Indigenous Australians compared with the rate for non-Indigenous Australians, with high risk factors including 19% of mental health and substance abuse disorders, 15% injuries including suicide, and 12% cardiovascular disease. The burden of disease analysis is the best measure of impact of difference of disease or injuries on a population. Non-Indigenous Australians are also at risk. Non-Indigenous Australians are also at risk of lower socioeconomic positions, including people who live with a disability and are homeless. Data from 2017 to 18 suggests Australians living on a lower socioeconomic position compared to those living in a higher socioeconomic position were 3.3 times likely to smoke daily and 2 times likely to die from lung cancer, 1.6 times likely to be obese with a greater likelihood to die from coronary heart disease, 1.3 times likely to participate in inadequate physical activity. The male lifespan is around 6 years less and the female lifespan is around 4 years less. Approximately 1.6 people living in Australia were identified as living with a disability in 2018, with 5.7% of the population living with a profound disability. People with a disability suggest their health needs are greater than those without a disability, with 42% of people with a disability stating they were in fair or poor health, compared with 7% of the population without a disability. 23% of people with a disability identify mental or behavioural disorders as their disability, including psychosis, mood disorders, intellectual and developmental delays. Wilkinson and Marmo report disadvantage can concentrate within the same communities with an impact on poor health increasing throughout their lives. The larger the social gradient, the greater the social exclusion, leading to a relative cycle of disadvantage. Wilkinson and Marmo also describe social exclusion as a result of racism, discrimination, stigmatisation, hostility and unemployment. People living with a disability are discriminated, which in turn suggests that 4.4 million Australians live in the lowest social ladder, increasing their exposure to social exclusion. Linkage between communities living lower on the social ladder with a reduced capacity to address standards to increase opportunities will increase social exclusion. Linkages between communities living lower on the social ladder with a reduced capacity to address the standards to increase opportunities will increase social exclusion and disadvantage. Wilkinson and Marmo also state the most important thing, if policy fails to address the disadvantages identified from social gradient factors, it fails to address social justice in our societies. Thank you.